Also, this week, war. Did you hear about that thing? We bombed Iran, and it's going on. Now, have you expected me to say I hate it? I don't. Sorry. When he puts boots on the ground, yeah, then I'll hate it. Now, I know too many happy Iranian Americans. Sorry. And you cannot name one horrible thing that has happened in the Middle East in the last 50 years and not connect it to this fascist theocracy. They're like 6 degrees of they don't eat bacon. And it's popular. I mean, Iranians all over the world are doing the Trump dance. Have you seen that? The whole world is jerking off 2 guys at once now. It's amazing, yeah.
When I'm thinking about it, it makes me so angry. There are 1,000 body bags. They executed so many people. They were 2 years old kid got shot by Islamic Republic in their parents' arm. I just don't understand why these lefties, why these activists do not see this. But when it comes to the war, when it comes to the strike, they just like suddenly wake up and then start talking about it. So where have you been when Iranian getting killed in a street just because they were chanting for their basic human rights? Basic human rights. They getting shot, they getting killed, the woman, the man. The woman, especially when they arrested them, they getting raped in jail. And after them, so many of them got burned by Islamic Republic just to eliminate the proof of rapes on those bodies. So I just don't understand why these feminists in USA or other countries that right now they're talking about it, why they didn't talk about the Iran massacre and these things that happened a month ago. Why didn't talk about it?
What's going on, everybody? I appreciate you guys pulling up, man. Welcome to the show. We got to talk about it, man, because Bill Maher, I got to say it, man. Bill Maher is becoming more and more based as the weeks, days, and years fly by. I appreciate the fact that he is calling both balls and strikes on both sides. Now, we know that he is still, as Linda B would say, a clefty lefty. He is still there on the left side. But I am glad that he is holding the left's feet to the fire and forcing them to stand on their agenda and their ideology. And I'm glad that he's calling it out. I'm also glad that he is, when he sees something good from this administration, he's willing to call it out and say, hey, I don't have a problem with that. I'm actually for that. That's good. And I actually agree with this sentiment in reference to the situation in Iran. Hey, as long as it strikes and it's the world's strongest Navy handling business from the coast, I'm 100% good. I don't want to see us troops on the ground in Iran. That's not something that I want to see. Now, I wouldn't mind us, if there are, people that need to be armed, because we know that the Iranian government, they basically disarm their citizens so they don't have the ability to uprise against them properly. Now, I don't have a problem with us making sure that we arm the right people, so forth and so on, so they can go in and handle business on their own to take back their nation. I don't have a problem with that. But as long as it's airstrikes and the world's strongest Navy handling business from the coastlines, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that at all. We got to get into this. Hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what your thoughts are. Drop me a comment below. I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say about this. Let's get into it.
This statement from the administration: the president had the constitutional authority to direct the use of military force because he could reasonably determine that such use of force was in the national interest. That's too vague for you?
Totally vague.
Okay, because that's from Obama about Libya.
Well, Obama made the argument initially that he could go into Syria without an authorization. I and many others pushed back on that argument. Ultimately, he did not go forward with going after Assad, even though Assad was gassing his own people, because he thought he might lose the vote in Congress. But I respect the fact that that was important to him, and the fact that he did not have the support of Congress meant that we weren't going to go forward.
We actually have a liberal journalist doing their job. This was a huge gotcha moment, and it caught Schiff off guard. He was kind of stammering a little bit. He didn't really know where to go with that. Couldn't defend it though. He couldn't defend it. And that's the problem. We have a media arm in this country that's not fair across the board. Their job is to inform the people and hold both sides accountable. That's not what happens. That's not what happens in this country. Mainstream media, for the most part, 90% of it is nothing more than a propaganda arm for the Democratic Party. So they're not used to being held accountable. They're not used to hostile interviews. They're not used to someone coming at them in this way. So typically, they're not prepared. Typically. I'm glad this happened. And I'm glad so much has transpired over the better part of about a month when it comes to these Democrats. Because again, like I say all the time, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And I hope that the people in the United States of America that are either moderates, Democrats, or independents, I hope that they're getting a chance to see this for themselves and saying, you know what, we can't continue to support this party that's anti-America, anti-God, pro-Marxism, pro-socialism, ultimately pro-communism, that gets out there in the streets and supports dictators and people who basically unalive their own people. Democrat Party in this day and age, they're on the wrong side of every 80-20 issue out there. The party is nothing more than just a cabal of wicked, demonic individuals, man, at this point. I'm convinced.
Yeah, there are celebrations. When Saddam fell, there were celebrations. 20 years later, not so many celebrations.
20 years later, Iraq is actually in a pretty good place.
Well,
people don't talk about that. Iraq is a much better country than it was. I'm not saying it was the right thing to do. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But that kind of goes unnoticed, that Iraq is not a failed state anymore. They actually have elections. They have opposition parties. They have a media.
Don't you think they got better after we left? Because when we were there, it certainly was not.
Right, but it would still be torture rooms in Saddam Hussein, and his kids would be in charge right now.
There would be thousands of Americans.
Yeah, these guys they're pieces of work, man. Seriously, they're POSs, to be honest with you. They don't want to give any credit at all. And when this situation over in Iran becomes a success, because what we do is what we do know is we know that the president wins. He is a winner. He wins. And when this is a success, and stabilization goes back to the region, and the actual Persian people in Iran take control of the land that is rightfully theirs, we know good and well that neither one of these fools and no one else on the Democrat side they're going to give credit to the president. We know this, but we're not even worried about it anymore. We shouldn't be focused on receiving credit or any type of attaboys from the Democrat Party. They're just hateful individuals. They're just a bunch of hateful individuals that want to see this country destroyed. That's what they want.
What did you think of the trap that Trump laid in the State of the Union address, where he, just show the tape there, because I think it's self-explanatory what he did.
If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens.
And the Democrats didn't stand. I mean, obviously, it's a deliberate trap, because they always played these games of Simon Says there at the State of the Union.
Well, I think you and I agree on this is all performative.
I know, but is it going to look bad in campaign ads?
I don't think anyone's going to remember that come campaign.
They will if they put it in the ad.
People are going to remember it. People are going to remember that Democrats said that they care more about illegal immigrants than the actual citizens who put them into office to serve them. People are going to remember it. And Bill Maher is absolutely right. They're going to run. Dude, there are so many ads that can be ran right now just based off of comments from Democrats, from the State of the Union to Jasmine Crockett to AOC. There are so many ads. To be honest with you, the ads write themselves. The ads write themselves. You don't even have to do any real work. You don't have to search. They're all there. And what we do know about the president, what we do know about these folks, they are really good at piecing these ads together. So you can bet your bottom dollar that come about September, October, especially during football season, they are going to be running these ads like it's nobody's business. You can count on it. Again, like I said, The ads write themselves. They don't have to make up anything. And the thing is that when people are reminded of what was said and what happened during the State of the Union, Democrats can't come out there and say, oh, those are lies, those are fabricated, that's misinformation, disinformation, those are cheap fakes. They can come out and say that. Everybody's seen it. And not to mention, you can go and pull the tape. They're hoping that people forget. That was wishful thinking by Don Lemon.
Statement from the administration. The president had the constitutional authority to direct the use of military force because he could reasonably determine that such use of force was in the national interest. That's too vague for you?
Totally vague.
Okay, because that's from Obama about Libya.
Let's bring in Fox News contributor Joe Concho. Great to see you this morning,
Hi.
Joe. Thanks for joining us.
Of course.
That was a pretty good setup there.
That was craptastically awesome. And there have been hundreds of interviews that Democrats have done on places like CNN and MS, whatever it is now. I guess it is MS now. And no one ever deployed this tactic. And I think it's perfectly fair. Here's a statement from the president. What do you think? I only wish that Maher let Schiff go on a little bit more. This is far too vague and really let him go for 60 seconds and go off on Trump when it was actually Obama. And we're talking about Libya, which that bombing went on for 7 months, by the way, and no Democrats had any problem with no congressional authority around that. Now they're saying you absolutely need it here. It's hypocrisy with a capital H in italics underscore.
I think Elizabeth Hasselbeck also did it on The View with Sunny Hostin, where she's basically threw back in her face how supportive she was of Libya in particular. And, with Obama and Hillary, and then said, "Why are you so against this?" So I mean, there's lots of reasons to be for or against it, but it is interesting how they're catching them.
And it wasn't that quite refreshing, which I've never used that word with The View before, to have an actual conservative making actual arguments who comes prepared, because the show was somewhat interesting to watch. We have not seen that, I think, since Meghan McCain was on the show. The problem is Hasselbeck was only a temporary fill-in, and they'll go back to like an Ana Navarro, Republican strategist who actually is just somebody who literally has done fundraisers.
Just a really
for
miserable lady.
Or
do you feel
another
like,
way to put it.
Going back to Maher's setup, do you feel like Maher pulled his punches, though? Because he really laid out, and I hammered this yesterday, it's not just Adam Schiff. It's also not just President Obama, it's also Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, all these people that have said, these Democrats that have universally said Iran can't have a weapon and they would do something to stop it if it were a threat. And yet President Trump does it and they're universally condemning it.
I mean, it's enough to make your hair hurt, right? Because they have said these things in the past, but you're right. Tim Russert used to do this all the time on Meet the Press on NBC, and he would play a quote to a Hillary Clinton or to a Barack Obama, Joe Biden, if Joe Biden actually did interviews, or a Kamala Harris, and said, this is what you said then, this is your stance now, what has changed? That is completely fair journalism, and yet we never see anybody deployed anymore. Why? Because it's not journalism anymore, it's activism, and no one wants to make any Democrats look bad now, do they, on CNN or MSNBC?
Yeah, and
He's absolutely right. MS, no one's watching, and CNN, they don't want to make Democrats look bad anymore. So they go along to get along. Again, I got to keep saying this, man. Majority of mainstream media, 90% of mainstream media is nothing more than a propaganda arm for the DNC. Simple as that. Most of these folks, they're all liberals. They're all Democrats. They're all blue no matter who. So it's hard to be objective when you actually 100% believe in the wicked agenda of the Democrats. And that's why this side of things is gaining traction. And we need more of it. We need more conservative voices. I'd like to see more Christian conservative voices getting out there, speaking out to what's going on politically and calling these people out. Now, I don't know, if you can get some of these people to come on your show, because typically they only like to go to places where folks gonna tie some softballs. Bill Maher just happens to be a show because he has come across as a liberal. But I think that you're going to have more and more folks from the left say, I don't know if I want to go on Bill Maher's show, because he actually does his job. He actually does what most journalists should do. He actually does what journalists do to Republicans, but they never do to the left. I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. What are your thoughts on any of this? Hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the notifications on to all so you never miss an upload. Consider joining the ARP family or buy your brother a coffee. That link's in the description box below. You can also support via Cash App. That link's in the description box below. And as always, keep God first. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you all next time. Peace.
It is God who arms me with strength. Yeah, I'm battle ready. He trains my hands for battle. My heart stays steady. But thanks be to God, He gives us the victory. Through my Lord Jesus Christ, fear can't live in me. I was down to the dirt, red clay on my shoes, old pain in my shirt, oh so bruised. Then the Lord hit my chest, kicked air from my breath, put power in my step.